Ladies and gentlemen, Baltimore has announced that it will stop prosecuting marijuana possession, which makes sense. As more and more states become legal for marijuana, people should not be getting arrested for that reason. But see, they have used marijuana to jail Black people for so long, they don't want to let go of it. This is why you see states where marijuana is legalized, but those arrests are still continuing even to this day. Because, see, despite the fact of them trying to say Black people are the most violent, they can't get you in there for violent crimes. The easiest thing they can get Black people in jail for is marijuana. This has been their go-to for decades now, and they don't want to let it go. They're doing something similar in my state where they're going to actually release people from jail in there for marijuana possession. So you should see this. This really should be going on across the country. We should not just see a handful of states doing this. But let's get into this story. So, Baltimore State Attorney Marilyn Mosby announced Tuesday that her office would cease prosecuting people for possessing marijuana regardless of the quantity or the person's criminal history, calling the move monumental for justice in Baltimore. Mosby also requested that courts vacate convictions of nearly 5,000 cases of marijuana possession. When I ask myself, is the enforcement and prosecution of marijuana possession making us safer as a city, Mosby said, the answer is, um, yeah, it's no. I agree with her. And I agree with what my state is doing as well, as far as getting people out of jail for marijuana possession. I think lawmakers that are in states where it's legal and people are still being jailed, I think that's evil. I really do. I think it's evil. Now, here's the thing. How do you end this without it having an impact on who's going to do the prison labor? See, now it just means they have to come up with craftier ways to get Black people in there to do that prison corporate labor, that slavery behind bars. See, they're going to have a harder time using marijuana possession, which has been their mainstay. Moby follows district attorney in Manhattan and Philadelphia who have scaled back or outright ended marijuana prosecutions. Maryland lawmakers decriminalized possession of up to 10 grams of marijuana in 2014. But she also stood alone politically. No police or other city officials joined her at the announcement. Of course not. They want to continue this stuff. They want to continue it. And you can't tell me a lot of these city officials and cops are getting kickbacks for every Black person they pick up and throw in jail. They're getting money. You can best believe they're not doing it for free. Hours later, Mayor Catherine Pugh announced her support for what Mosby is attempting to address, namely the unnecessary criminalization of those who possess marijuana merely for personal use. But at the same time, we also need to understand that those who deal illegal substances fuel criminality in our neighborhoods, which lead to violence. Well, I do agree with that to a certain point, but nobody should be going to jail when more and more states around America are legalizing marijuana. It makes no sense, except for those doing the arrest and want Black people in there for prison labor purposes. Mosby aimed to formalize marijuana policies already in practice. A report released Tuesday by her office shows city prosecutors dropped 88% of marijuana possession cases in Baltimore District Court since 2014, 1,001 cases. Still, convictions have saddled thousands in Baltimore with criminal records and frustrated their job searches, Mulby said. The marijuana arrests have disproportionately affected minority neighborhoods in Baltimore. And she's right. Now, if you are no longer going to arrest people for marijuana possession, then these jobs really need to cease testing people for marijuana. It wouldn't make sense to stop arresting people, but you're still drug testing people for it. So when she stopped arresting, the jobs need to simultaneously drop that from their drug testing. So, I mean, I understand, and they're right. Those convictions are keeping a lot of people out of work that can potentially work. Nationwide, African Americans are 4 times more likely than whites to be arrested for possessing marijuana. The ratio jumped 6 times more likely in Baltimore, prosecutors wrote in a report. Such arrests squander scarce police resources, Mosby said, noting that 343 people were killed in Baltimore in 2017. Police closed nearly 1/3 of those cases. Last year, 309 people were killed, and police closed closer to one quarter. No one, Mosby said, thinks spending resources to jail people for marijuana is a good use of our limited time and resources. But it remains unclear how the policy will play out in the streets. Mosby made her announcement at the nonprofit Center for Urban Families in West Baltimore. While surrounded by her staff, marijuana advocates, and neighborhood activists, police leaders weren't there because, see, the police want to continue to get Black people on this. That's why they're not supporting her. I'm sure they're probably upset because, like I said, that's been their mainstay in grabbing up Black people. Now they can't do it. They're not happy about that. And look, you have Kamala Harris that wanted to keep Black people in there for non-violent offenses. And many of those non-violent offenses were drugs, possession of marijuana. And she wanted to keep them in jail for long terms on that, just to get the prison labor done. You see how wicked that is? So I have to give props to Marilyn Mosby on this. I really believe she made the right decision because it just doesn't make sense to continue this war on drugs on Black people, because that's what the marijuana possession is, y'all. It's just a continuation of the war on drugs for Black people, but you won't lay a hand on these opioid addicts. Nobody should be silent about that. No one. So as long as they keep grabbing Black people up and throwing them in jail for marijuana possession, we know the war on the Black community has not gone anywhere. It's still stronger than ever across this country. But somebody using fentanyl mixed with heroin and opioids, you're going to leave them alone. And that's a much more powerful narcotic, far more powerful than marijuana. So now, how do you rationalize grabbing the person for marijuana, but you don't want to lay a hand on the one on opioids? It makes no sense. That shouldn't make sense to anybody. I will leave the link to this article in the description box. Please tell me what you think in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.